Hey everybody, it's Kimberly. I wanted to do a Zoom meeting, but we had so many things going on right now that it just was impossible to get more than about a fourth of us together. So this video is intended to share with you all the information that we would have talked about in a Zoom meeting, and rather than it just being a one-way thing, I would love it if you would call me, text me, email me with questions, comments, observations, anything you'd like to share. And if it's okay with you, I'll share that out with the group. I'm not claiming to be any kind of expert here on the Pray For Me campaign, but I'm speaking to you as a person who's coordinated it for a year and a parent whose child and whose both children have benefited from it. So I'm hoping to just share with you goals of the program, some things that'll look a little different from last year, and then some best practices that have been shared with me and that I've observed over the past year. Sorry, got my App State jack-o'-lantern shirt on. I'm ready for Halloween. So let's talk first about the goals of the campaign. Ideally, this whole concept is about building relationships between the different generations in any church. As you probably well know, most churches operate in silos, and by that we mean age mates tend to mix only with their own. So the greatest generation, most of their friends are in their generation. Same with boomers, same with Xers, same with millennials and Z. They just tend to kind of stick to their own. That's our natural inclination, and this program is intended to overcome that natural inclination and to help people begin to bridge the generations, because there's so much wisdom to be shared, going from upper age to lower and going from lower to upper. So that's the goal overall. And we want to build mentoring relationships with the younger generation. We want them to know that there's someone other than their parents at church who loves and cares about them, who's interested in them, and who gets them. And so ideally, throughout the year, you'll begin to engage with each other and get to know each other in a way that'll make both of you comfortable sharing prayer requests back and forth. So we also want to teach students the power of prayer. Some of them have never experienced targeted prayer like what we're going to be doing. Some of them have never had somebody stand alongside them and pray about them and for them. And so that's what we want to accomplish. We want them to see that work in their lives. Okay? We also want to help students begin to recognize their need for prayer. Because again, if you've never experienced the power of prayer, you might not really even know that you need it. But you do, right? We want to also provide, once COVID-19 has run its course and we can get back to things being different, we want to provide some opportunities for fellowship between the families of the kids who are being prayed for and the prayer champions. Game night, bowling alley, whatever we come up with, potluck, whatever. Just opportunities to sit and fellowship together and share stories, right? Another goal that I have this year, and I hope it'll catch fire and you'll share it with me by the end of the year, I want to teach our students how to be prayer champions for our younger kids. There's nothing that teaches you better than having to teach someone else. And so my goal for this year with our youth is to teach them how to be prayer champions for the younger kids in the church. And I hope you'll stand alongside me with that. So here's how it works. Each prayer champion is paired with a student, or in a few cases, 2 students, to pray for them daily for a year. That's the commitment for this school year. And you'll get a list of scriptures each week. I'm gonna start sending those out on Saturday night, so they arrive in your mailbox overnight on Saturday. So when you get up Sunday morning, you've got your prayer list. And the scriptures that I send are just suggestions around a theme. It's usually something God hits me with on Thursday or Friday of the week, and then I start thinking about how can we use that to enhance our prayer life. So you'll have those to work from, but you don't have to work with those. You can take prayer requests from your student right away if they have some. I would encourage you to engage with the parents of your student to see what prayer needs they have noticed in their student's life or maybe in their family's life. And then you can also just be led by the Spirit. Whatever God puts on your heart to pray for that student, I would encourage you to do absolutely that. I will share contact information with you for your student and their family. In some cases, I have an email address for the student and the parent. In other cases, it's just the parent. And when that's the case, you'll just need to send your emails to the parent and they'll share them with the student themselves. So here's some things that are going to look a little bit different from last year if you did this last year. And if you did, God bless you. That was our inaugural year, and it was amazing. Like I said, the prayer suggestion emails will come to your inbox overnight on Saturday, so you can start using those on Sunday morning. I'm going to encourage you to begin to build relationships with the family of your student. Maybe start with the parents and just check in with them. If you've got contact information for your student, or if you see them at services in person, by all means, go ahead and start talking to them about them and share your stories. Talk about your prayer life and your life as a Christian when the opportunity arises. Don't be afraid to share. That's what we're here for. We should be reaching out weekly to either our student directly or to our student's parents just to check in, see if there's any particular prayer need or any general prayer need. And that's sort of how you begin to build the relationship, is just making those contacts week after week. And of course there will be some weeks where you can't get hold of them and they can't get hold of you, and that's okay. These are suggestions. Nobody's saying that you have to do this every week. Be led by God to do exactly what it is that He wants you to do in this position. Kickoff is going to work a little bit differently. We're going to kick off Sunday the 11th, that's tomorrow. And rather than have sort of this draft looking thing kind of like we did last year, I'm just going to share the assignments with everyone and recognize the prayer champions at the end of the service tomorrow, so that the prayer champions can be prayed for, and so that everybody knows who to be praying for. Pastor Tom's role this year for the program is to be praying for you along with me, and to be praying for the program itself. So we do have that umbrella of prayer covering from Pastor Tom, and I thank you for doing that. So reaching out to parents can be an email, it can be a text, it can be a phone call. Whatever information you have, just use that. If there's somebody who comes to services in person and you are too, then that makes it even easier. And if you're assigned someone that you don't know, let me know and I'll introduce you. And I'm happy to facilitate any of those contacts that you need help with. So here's some best practices that I observed and I wanted to share with you from what we saw this year. Set a fixed time that you will pray for your student every day. And that can be during your regular devotion, it can be during your regular prayer time, or it can be separate from that. And you might want to just say, every time I brush my teeth, I'm going to pray for my student. Or, every time I drive to work, I'm going to pray for my student. Eyes open, of course. One of the things that I like to do is write my students' names on masking tape and just leave them in places around the house and in my car that'll remind me to pray for them. And so bathroom mirror is a great place, kitchen sink is a great place, car steering wheel, great place. Again, if you're driving, please keep your eyes open. God doesn't mind. If you set a regular time to check in with your family, your student and parents, that'll help you, because then you won't find, oh gosh, it's Saturday night and I hadn't talked to them all week. Just, get together with them and say, when's the best time to check in with you? And then they'll know to expect your email or your text or your call on a certain day, certain time, right? Ask questions. That was a big one. You don't get to know anything if you don't ask. So I would encourage you to, again, just ask questions. Find out about your student from their parents and from the student if you can. Sometimes that's hard, If you know their birthday, be sure and acknowledge it. And if you don't know it, see if you can find it out. I'm sure their parents would be glad to tell you the month and day of their birthday so that you can acknowledge that when it comes around. There's lots of areas where students might need prayer, and the prayer suggestions will eventually address all of these, but I just wanted to throw them out there for you to think about. Students need prayer about relationships, family and otherwise, friends, boyfriends, girlfriends. They need prayer about extracurricular activities, music, sports, art, clubs, etc. They need prayer about academic issues, mental health issues, physical health, family things, and their faith and relationship with God. Again, share your stories. Remember that nothing is too big and nothing is too small to pray about. A student might ask you to pray for a sick pet. Feel honored when they ask you to pray about anything, because that's a big accomplishment. They might ask you to pray about something as big as their relationship with their parents or their relationship with God. And again, feel honored if they ask you to pray about anything, because that's the whole goal, and you've gotten there. I have a long-standing rule that whenever God brings somebody to my mind, even if I haven't